But if you do call, know that God answers prayers. They said I wouldn't make it. They said I wouldn't be here today, but I am. Hey, mama, we made it.
Of course, we're devastated. I mean, we've been here 65 years and have somebody shooting in your church. But, you know, we don't understand why all these things happen, but we know God's in control.
During the chaos Sunday as the shots rang out, police say the shooter was a 36-year-old woman with a history of mental illness who had attended the church in the past year. Omar Villafranca has the latest.
Investigators are sifting through chilling new videos like this, showing panicked churchgoers in one of the country's largest houses of worship. With her son by her side, police say 36-year-old Genesee Moreno walked into the megachurch carrying an AR-style rifle. When she was confronted by off-duty officers working security, she opened fire.
They were repetitive, boom, 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 boom.
The sound sent the congregation scrambling as security returned fire, killing the shooter.
If it weren't for them, the number of casualties and victims would have been much higher. There is no doubt.
The shooter's son appeared to be caught in the crossfire. The boy remains hospitalized in critical condition. A 57-year-old man who was also struck has been released from the hospital. While investigators zero in on a motive, they revealed yesterday one of the shooter's guns had a sticker reading Palestine on it. They also found anti-Semitic writings, but say they believe these may be related to a dispute with her ex-husband's family.
There was a familial.
Breaking news yesterday morning. Now we know all 6 people on board were killed as they were headed to Las Vegas for the Super Bowl. We checked the helicopter's flight plan. It started its journey Friday evening, taking off from Camarillo. It stopped in Burbank before flying on to Palm Springs International Airport and then crashing en route to Las Vegas just before 10 o'clock Friday night. NBC4's Bailey Miller joins us now with more about what we know about the people who were on board. Bailey, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Michelle. So this is just such a tragic story, knowing that those on board were headed to something so fun and so joyous. We know some very prominent people were on board this aircraft, one of them being the CEO of one of Nigeria's largest banks and the former chair of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, as well as others. Sadly, all on board were killed. Now, the crash happened on Friday.
So, what's up, YouTube? It's Car Janelle. This video, I'm just breaking down a few things that have been going on, current news that's what's going on. This video is a little bit later than I wanted to put it out because the Super Bowl was February 11th. But there were a few things that I really feel are necessary to point out. If your spiritual eyes are open, you've probably seen it right away. As soon as I viewed these things, I already knew what was up. But some people don't. So we're going to talk about it in this video. First thing I will say, not only is there a lot of satanic imaging going on or was going on in the Super Bowl, especially the halftime show, but also there were a few sacrifices that happened, and some people might have heard about it, revolving around that same day. The Joel Osteen church shooting and also the helicopter that crashed on the way to the Super Bowl. And I'm just going to break this down a little bit because some people don't know, and I just feel led to talk about it. So one of the key things that happened, I hope it let me keep the clip in before I started talking. If not, it copyrighted and I had to take it out. But Usher, in the middle of his halftime show performance, he said, God answers prayers. And he goes on to say, they said I wouldn't make it here, but I did. And he shouts out to his mom. But I want you guys to understand that he's not talking about God, the Most High, God, the Creator. And even though those simple words can be taken any type of way, people could say, well, how do you know he's not talking about God? How do you know he's not talking about the Most High? How do you know God didn't put him in that position to be doing these things or saying these things? Okay, you could say that, but the imaging and the things that happened directly after he said that is giving homage to the God that he serves. So directly after Usher said that, he starts walking up onto the platform, and as he's walking up into the platform, he does this, this movement, this hands wide open. Some people can say it's indicative of how Jesus looked on the cross, or how they portray he looked on the cross. When you see these images that he had both hands nailed to this cross, And Usher is doing that. And if you actually watch the Super Bowl halftime show, which when I was at work, almost every patient had this on their TV. So I seen it. I seen the full thing. I was in a patient room when Usher started performing and I watched it. And if you watch it when it happened, it's so eerie. I can't show the whole video. It's very weird. If your spiritual eyes are open, you would have noticed this. But he comes up with his arms open wide as if like, you see the picture, so you know what I'm talking about. But what this is really indicating is the spirit of the Antichrist. And the thing is, these elites and the powers of this world, they speak in symbol. Not only do they speak in symbol, they speak in images, they speak in code. They don't outright bluntly say things all the time. But it's getting so reckless out here. People are bluntly saying stuff. But as far as these big events like that, they do this imagery for the elites, other elites, and other high powers to recognize what's going on. But really, they're indicating in this scenario with Usher, how he came up on that stage, is like the spirit of the Antichrist. Basically, that spirit, I already think it's in the earth. But not only that, they're really trying to say like, okay, this is the arrival, the coming too. And I'm going to go into the Bible and talk about that a little bit because it's located in the book of Revelation. So in Revelation chapter 13, I'm going to start at verse number 5 that says, "And there was given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies. And power was given unto him to continue 42 months. And he opened up his mouth in blasphemy against God, and blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven." And I'm going to pause there. So when you see someone who is, Usher's getting naked, gyrating, singing all these songs of the world, and then they bring up God, it's a sense of blasphemy, because you can't be talking about the Most High God. And if you are talking about the Most High God in this moment, it's a blaspheming statement, because you're on their altar, you're on that portal that they made, because also he was on a portal image throughout this performance, which that picture is going to come up soon. You're not giving glory to God. It's a blaspheming thing. But in the book of Revelation, most of it is about prophetic visions that were happening, things that were being shown in order to tell us about the last days. I'm sorry about the noise. Every time I start doing something, my dog just feels like it's his time to shine. So that's what's in the background. But then it goes on to verse number 7, and it says, "And it was given unto him to make war with the saints, to overcome them, and power was given him over the kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose name are not written in the book of life of the Lamb of the slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear." So it's letting us know, like, okay, when this Antichrist comes, and although it's being indicated in the Bible as the beast and the dragon and all these things like that, but the spirit of the Antichrist is already operating through people. And this is what this imaging is showing us in the Super Bowl, making it really clear as Usher came up on that platform with his arms open wide, as if he's a Christ. He's really representing the Antichrist. But then it goes on to another thing that I thought was so, as soon as I seen it, I was like, oh no, these are too many demons right in here for me. But watch it when Alicia Keys came on and what that part is indicating. So right before we go to the Alicia Keys part, I do want to mention, with Usher standing on this portal, it's really indicative. Anytime you see a portal, especially in these big events, or when you see a portal anywhere, portals are really used to open up another dimension or to give access to another dimension in some way that you wouldn't have access to just in the normal state. We've seen this with the Travis Scott tragedy, with all those people that were sacrificed, and he was performing before that portal. They're doing these things before a portal, and they're doing the imagery to show people, because everyone that's clapping, cheering, singing these songs, you are in agreement with this. But when we see him on the portal, like I said, how he came up on that platform with his arms wide open, indicating like the spirit of the Antichrist, they're trying to usher this in even more. Although these spirits are already rampant out here, the actual Antichrist, the one that they say is going to be like, the number 666. We haven't actually seen this person yet, but we do know like times are getting reckless. We probably are living in a sense of the last days right now with everything that's going on. The elites and these people who directly or indirectly worship Satan, they want to usher in the spirit of the Antichrist. They want these end times to come. They want you know, for all these things to happen because they feel like it's their time to rule then. They feel like, okay, this is the time where we're really going to shine. And not only that, they really believe in their head that they're going to go to war against God and they're going to win. But of course, we all know that that's never going to happen. They're never going to win against the Most High God. But anyway, I just want to give that a little nugget right there. When we see him on that portal and we just recognize the spirit of the Antichrist, they're trying to, they want to bring more of that evil, more of that Antichrist spirit into the world. Okay, so then we get to the Alicia Keys part. Now, when I seen this happen during the Super Bowl, I was immediately like, absolutely not. So we see, first, all you seen was this image of this red thing, and then it comes to be Alicia Keys, and they start singing that song, My Boo. But let's go to the Bible in Revelations. Stop. In Revelations chapter 17, verse 3, it says, So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations in the earth. So, when we see these images, these people are trying to tell you something. And what they're trying to tell you is who they really serve. So, that whole Alicia Keys scenario, the way that these people, there's so much work and effort that goes into every single detail of big events like that. So best believe they took plenty of time in order for it to play out and look the way that it did. And if you feel comfortable, you can go watch the whole entire halftime show performance. But it didn't sit well with my spirit, and I'm sure there's other people out there who, if they seen it or if they were to see it, it's just not going to sit well with you because. But yeah, so Alicia Keys came out representing the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And they do these things, they show these things in order to get people in agreement and also to give homage to the deities that they serve and that they worship. And then this little Her came out, the singer Her came out. And when I first seen it, it looked so demonic. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, when I was watching it on the TV, I thought that she had like a mask on almost. It looked so weird to me. I don't know if obviously she didn't have a mask on, but it just looked so strange. I feel like God was just showing me something at that moment when she came out. But she's just another pawn that they're using in this ritual thing. But nevertheless, I say all this to say, okay, they performed all these rituals at the Super Bowl halftime show, indicating what they're trying to usher in, indicating they're trying to usher in the spirit of the Antichrist even more than it already is, and also giving indication of who it is that they serve and giving homage to the mother of harlots and abominations in the earth by the way that they had Alicia Keys perform. But not only do they do these rituals, whenever you see one of these big shows, Grammys, Super Bowl, any of these big events, look for the other news that's happening, because when they do these performances, when they do these rituals, there's gonna be a sacrifice every time, some way or another. So we're gonna talk about that really, really quick because I don't want this video to be too long. So as far as the sacrifices go, as you see on your screen, you see the definition of the word worship. The feeling or expression of reverence and admiration for a deity. So the Bible tells us when we worship God, we have to worship him in spirit and in truth. But as far as people worshiping other deities, the deities that they're offering these sacrifices to and performing these images and things to, these rituals to, there's a certain way they worship them. And we're going to read in we're going to read in 1 Kings chapter 18 about Elijah and the prophets of Baal. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a key part of that when he was going against these prophets of Baal, these false prophets or whatever, that were worshiping deities. When he was going up against them, he gave us a key piece of information about how they served their God. And this is indicative because it shows us why they require blood when they do these rituals, why someone's getting killed or someone's dying when these big events happen. So I'm starting at verse 25, 1 Kings chapter 18. It says, And Elijah said unto the prophets of Baal, Choose you one bullock for yourselves, and dress it first, for ye are many, and call on the name of your gods, but put no fire under. And they took the bullock which was given them, and they dressed it, and called on the name of Baal from morning eve until noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice, nor any that answered. And they leaped upon the altar which was made. And it came to pass at noon that Elijah mocked them, and said, Cry aloud, for he is a god. Either he is talking, or he is pursuing, or he is in a journey, or pre-adventure, which means perhaps he sleepeth, and must be awakened. And they cried aloud and cut themselves. This is the verse 28. And they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner with knives and lances, till the blood gushed out upon them. When it says in this verse 28, and they cried aloud and cut themselves after their manner, mean this is something they do. This is something that they have been doing. This is the way that they did things. In their manner is indicating like as they're used to doing. So when we see how this is what they were doing to try to appease their gods in the Old Testament, this gives us indication of this is the same way they appease their gods now, by bloodshed. And although in that particular chapter, of course, their God never answered, if you know the story, and then Elijah called on the Most High God, and he let his fire fall from heaven on that sacrifice, and of course won that battle, which our God is going to always win. The Most High God is going to always win. But nevertheless, these people, every time you see one of these big rituals going on, there's going to be a sacrifice to accompany it. We could go completely left and start looking up like the way that they do these rituals, and you can go do all the research if you choose to. In this video, I'm not going to get into it, but this is how they worship their deities, with bloodshed and stuff like that. That's why all those people on that helicopter died, and there was that shooting at that church, because they're conjuring energies. They're giving sacrifices to the gods that they serve. I'm not going to get into Joel Osteen, but hey, if you're allowing sacrifices to happen in your church, then you guys can draw your own conclusions about that. But with that being said, I hope that you guys receive some knowledge from this video. Until next time, I'm Car Janelle. Bye.